What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Week 12 edition of the Swolecast. This is a recorded version. We're recording it pretty much at the same time, but because I just got home from out of town, we're not doing it live because that would have just caused me all sorts of grief, headache. Davis would have been tilting me.
For sure. I would have been tilted at you, probably.
Yeah. And this is a time to be thankful. Not
after last week's technical fiascos, I think this was the move.
Right. You need to be thankful. Not
Is it bad if I have to ask which technical fiasco?
Yeah, having you on the show. All right, so my name is David Kitchen, joined by Sammy Reed, taking Puddle's place. Puddle is sick, right, Davis?
Tuttle is dying.
Oh, he's
Tuttle is not well, friend.
Oh, he's dying.
Not
Okay.
well.
All right, well, R.I.P. Tuttle.
I don't think he's actually dying, but he is. He doesn't feel great.
That's Davis Mattek. Also on the show, you know him as the Silvster at Evan Silva. I don't think anyone calls him the Silvster, but from rotoworld.com, his weekly matchups column. Evan, are you ready to take on the slate?
Yeah, I am. I think we got a good grip on it. The injury reports are in. We're ready to have a good week.
Yeah, I need you to have a good week. I was a guest on another show, and for some reason I took some heat for you, and I gladly took it. I mean, I that's what you do. I threw my body over yours.
Yeah. Like if we were in the military together, you took one for me, right?
Right.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Hey, Kitchen, tell me a little bit about the Fantasy Labs pod, because I got a text from an unnamed friend that just said, hey, you got to listen to this pod. Kitchen's spewing out terrible takes left and right.
Well, that doesn't sound like David. He would never say anything terrible on the air.
Here's the thing. The pod was fire, except they said contrarian stack. And I was like, super contrarian. Why not target Parrish Cox and the Titans secondary? The problem is the quarterback that would be targeting them is none other than Matt Barkley. So they didn't like the Matt Barkley and Cam Meredith stack. I felt like I was trapped. Like they got me to say something. It's like they told me that there was this costume party, and then I arrived in a costume, and they just all started laughing at me. Like, oh, not that contrarian. But we don't do that on this show. We don't laugh at other people on this show.
I think it's in my contract that I have to.
That you have to get laughed at, yes, but everybody else,
It's
not so
interesting.
much.
Sure.
All right, let's move on. This is a forward-thinking show. Let's talk about overall roster construction for Week 12. This is an interesting slate. Unfortunately, the Packers' defense is not on it, so we can't roster the GOATs. Evan, we're not making a Sunday, Monday lineup so you can put J-Matt or Duragin Beckham or Wendell Smallwood in there. Sorry, we won't do it. Just Sunday only. So let's talk about overall roster construction. And Davis, start with you.
Wide receiver is not good. Odell Beckham's volume has not been consistent enough week to week to pay up for him. Not crazy about paying up for Julio against Patrick Peterson. The only expensive wide receiver that makes it move for me this week is Amari Cooper.
Average Amari.
Average Amari.
Yeah,
Average Amari. I think he's more of a FanDuel play than a DraftKings play. I just don't think you can get him in because there are at least 4 really good running backs this week and 5 depending on how you feel about Jeremy Hill.
The thing with DraftKings, though, is that a couple of the running backs are cheap. You just have to figure out if you want to take – they all involve a little bit of risk. So,
yeah, but David Johnson is not cheap, and Davis Mattek is not setting a lineup without David Johnson in it.
You know how I do. You know how I do.
I know what time it is.
I hope so. It's David Johnson and Thomas Rawls, and those are the two kind of chalky guys I'm looking at. Jay Ajayi fade is scary, but I'll probably be doing it. Silva, what's your take on this week, the overall slate?
I mean, I love Ajayi. I mean, do you want to talk about specific positions or?
No, just like overall, like you love Ajayi, like.
Yeah, I think I've been on FanDuel. I've been going cheap at tight end, mid-range at quarterback, mid-range at wide receiver, and paying up for the studs at running back. And one of those is Ajayi.
Ooh, all right, Sammy.
Yeah, I'm in that mode too, man. I'm like, in my cash games on DraftKings, I'm jamming in DJ, Ajayi, and Rawls. And then I'm just going value at wide receiver. There's a ton of it.
All right. We'll talk about the whole Ajayi thing in a second, and I want to get Evan's take on a certain offensive lineman that won't be playing and how that affects them, and if it's just noise that we're including, not really factoring in that they still are playing the 49ers. Let's go ahead and
I think I know which play you're talking about.
Who?
Landry.
No. This is an offensive lineman, Davis. An offensive lineman.
But I know the situation to which you are referring, I believe.
No, you don't, because I just said the situation. All right, fine. We'll just talk about it now. We'll talk about it now since
okay.
It's not Landry. We were just talking about Ajayi. Mike Pouncey may not be playing. And if he's out.
Not playing.
Okay, so he's for sure not playing. This from Jim Sanis, number fire. His Ajayi's success rate when Pouncey plays is 45.5% per number fire metrics, drops to 35.3%. Albert and Tunzel could also miss Sunday. Is this something that we need to be worried about at all, Evan?
Yeah, I mean, it's a concern. This is the negative that we're looking at. But we're also facing the worst run defense in the league, a team that hemorrhages offensive possessions and offensive plays to their opponent, a team that plays on the West Coast and is traveling to the East Coast for a 1 p.m. Eastern time game. I almost think I don't really want to overthink it, and I'm just going to play, a guy who has been a top 5 NFL running back over the last month against the worst run defense in the league, and I'm going to plug him in and move forward.
I do like that it's at least a question because it makes the fade a little bit easier to stomach. And I also like that it presents options. So we'll open up the DraftKings lineup and make a lineup. But while we're doing that, there were 20 to 25 of the same lineups. I know it's a 3-game slate, but there have been weeks where there just haven't been a lot of people, or there have been a lot of differentiation. And this week certainly seems that way. There's a lot of ways you can go with things because I do like the pricing and I do like some of the options. And it seems like everybody's on something different. Maybe
I don't think there's a ton of overt chalk this week.
Right. I mean, David Johnson and Thomas Rawls are probably the chalk, but even Rawls gets a little bit convoluted because of Ajayi.
And because of Jeremy Hill.
Right. Well, yeah. So let's go ahead and make a DraftKings lineup. Silva, you go first with a QB selection.
Okay. I think that Derek Carr has the best price and is in a top 3 matchup on the week, so I'm going to run with him. And I guess he's going to be chalk on DK, correct?
Love it.
I think Russell Wilson and Carr will probably be 1 and 2. Carr is cheaper, so he'll be
Wilson on FanDuel. I think is the best play.
Yeah. Davis.
Let's just pair them. Let's just go Coop.
All right, I'm gonna go. We just talked about Russell Wilson, but I'm gonna go with his receiver, who's just been too hot. I can't think of a reason to fade him. I'm gonna go with Doug Baldwin.
Yeah, Baldwin. Good. You're starting off having a good show, David.
We have plenty of time still.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to go with Devontae Parker. We're going to save some salary. San Francisco is 32nd in the league in DVOA against the deep pass. Parker 18 targets in his last 2. Put him on the board.
Yeah, he's
Put
been
it on the board.
Landry's going to be the control. Parker's going to be the chalk this week, which is crazy considering the start of the season. But if you look at his price tag, the number of targets compare the number of targets that Landry has gotten, it's definitely interesting.
Yeah, but Parker's targets have been trending up.
Right.
Landry's targets have been like plateauing, even going down a little bit.
He hasn't had double-digit targets since week 4.
So I had a pretty interesting conversation with Mike Leone of Daily Roto the other day about this exact subject. And, the tricky thing with football is we're never operating on really actionable sample sizes, right? Like 16 games really is not all that much. And my thinking with this situation with Parker and with Landry is that I have a 4-year sample of knowing that Landry is the guy for Tannehill and for this offense. Like I really do just think it's kind of a case where it's overthinking it to take Parker over Landry. Like Landry,
but here's the thing: Parker is a complete GPP archetype, right? He's the deep guy. He has big games, small games. Landry's kind of that like flat guy where he's got a high floor, but he doesn't hit his ceiling all that often.
And anytime that a wide receiver who's 6'2" or taller goes against the 49ers, they've been just crushing this year. Kelvin Benjamin, Mike Evans, Larry Fitzgerald twice. I mean, Bryce Butler and Terrence Williams even had solid games against them. I think there's a lot of reasons to like Parker. I hear you, though, Davis.
I am not anti-Parker at all. Yeah. I just think that I prefer Landry.
And if they're without 3 offensive line, they're 3 starting offensive linemen this week, maybe they get it out to Landry a little bit more and have him create in space, kind of like they used to do. But it certainly seems like Evan said, his targets have been going down and Parker's have been going up. And Parker was he's a guy that people were high on big time. It definitely seems like this is the recipe for success that Adam Gase wants in his offense. So let's move on. We've got Carr, Cooper, Baldwin, Parker. Silva, you're up.
Carr, Cooper, Baldwin, Parker. Love Demarius on Sunday night.
Okay, so he'll be going in the flex. That makes it not chalky for sure.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, is that just in general, 4 wide receiver teams are not going to be popular this week.
Which I'm okay with.
Silva, tell me why you're on Demarius.
If you look at the last 7 games and the wide receiver who runs most of their routes at the position, at the right cornerback position against Kansas City, they've hit every single time. The worst game in there was Kelvin Benjamin, who had 7 catches for 84 yards. I mean, Amari Cooper went off. Michael Thomas went off. Moncrief had a big game in like a 50-yard touchdown call back. Last week, Evans went off. It's 7 games in a row now that using that kind of trend has paid off. And, I mean, I think Demarius is a really good play on Sunday night.
Double-digit targets in 5 straight games. Like I feel like I kind of overlooked him this week, but I like that.
Yeah, Rich Rebar loves him too, and Rich Rebar's real sharp.
Rich is he's a sharp fellow.
Sharp fellow. All right, let's go running back. I don't think we're going to have enough salary to fit in DJ. So
let's take Rawls.
Yeah, we'll do Rawls and Baldwin, but I mean, this is against Tampa Bay, so who cares? So
Good.
That means
I love it.
Let's just assume right now. Let's just go Titans defense. If we want to go up from that, we can if we have any money left over. But let's go Titans defense, and that means that with a running back and tight end, we got $48.50 per player left. Davis.
Ooh, this is very much a dead range for me.
I think that even if we like –
James White. This is always – against the Jets, it's always been a Vereen game.
But are you not concerned about Deion Lewis getting more and more?
Wait, no, James White.
No, this is a bad call.
Okay, I'll come off of it.
They had like almost the exact same usage last week, so it's like they're sharing the one role that we want this guy to be in. You know, that's my concern. I don't think he's a bad play. I mean, he still hit last week. James White did.
Yeah. But he's gonna have to break something long, and I think they're just gonna start phasing in Deion Lewis more and more and more until James White is special team.
Why don't we do this? Why don't we just put Barngoat in at tight end, and then Davis can take a running back with a little salary?
It kind of gets gross when you do that, though. I think we have to split it up.
I like Barnage. No, Barnage is the play.
What RB can we get in then?
How much salary is it?
With 6,100 left, we got Todd Gurley, who I know that Davis loves. You got Rashad Jennings. You got some play.
Jennings.
Oh, you got Spencer Ware against Denver if you wanted that.
No, we want Jennings.
All right, Jennings is 5,600, so that gives us 500 left over if we want to upgrade the Titans defense to Dolphins against San Fran. There you go. So we've got Carr and Cooper. We've got Thomas Rawls and Doug Baldwin against Tampa Bay. We got Rashad Jennings, who has just crushed it, and he's going up against Cleveland. And we have Devontae Parker and Gary Barnage with Demaryius Thomas and a little bit of an island game on Sunday night. It's pretty nice. It's like half chalk.
We've done much worse.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Our DraftKings team last week was good.
I think we needed like a little bit of more like positivity from Sammy,
because Tuttle just comes on and berates all of us.
Right. Yeah, we just need a little bit of a week where we need to just good coaches. Some weeks they'll be like hard on you. Other weeks they'll be like positive. We need a positive week for the Swolecast.
Hey, put me in, coach. I'm ready. I mean, I felt when I heard I was going to be on, I was going to like grow out my goatee really far and get a really bad accent, but I just couldn't do it all in time.
All right, let's move on to the quarterback position. We have Carr. We've got Russell Wilson. We've also got Tannehill, which people are going to be targeting just because of the 49ers. It's definitely interesting. The quarterbacks this week, I don't think there's like any consensus. For me, it's Russell Wilson, but I don't think there's like any consensus. Not even Derek Carr against Carolina is really the consensus because you've got Cam, who's priced low as well. Start with you, Sammy. What's your take on quarterbacks this week?
I'm big on Derek Carr, especially on DraftKings. I mean, Carolina's defense has been especially giving to boundary receivers, and that's where Oakland's the strongest with Cooper and Crabtree. But also they're missing Luke Kuechly, and I don't feel like it can be overstated enough how much his loss is going to impact that team, both in coverage, in running, and just lining everybody up in terms of being pumped up and having the spirit. Like losing him is terrible.
These are elite level takes. Sam.
Yes. I'm taking you on a stroll down narrative street, man. I think they're just gonna be terrible.
They're gonna be lost without their leader, just roaming around.
That's it. Look at you guys without Mr. Tuttle, right? It's gonna be the same thing for Carolina. So I really like all of Oakland. I love Derek Carr.
Silva, you've been known for targeting the Panthers secondary, like when you were all up on Brendan Cooks and would not get off of him at all. This is the first time they played, and he went off. Are you all up on him again?
Yeah, for sure. I think that Cooper's maybe the best wide receiver play on the board on FanDuel. Relative to his price. The Panthers. One of the reasons that their defense has been a little bit better recently is because they've been rushing the passer better, but they're going to be without their top outside pass rusher, Mario Addison. He's got almost 7 sacks this year. He has been one of the spark plugs for their pass defense, and he is not going to play in this game. Plus, nobody really gets pressure on Derek Carr anyways. I mean, the Raiders have allowed a league low 11 sacks this year. So I think that Derek Carr will be comfortable. I think that Amari Cooper has an incredible matchup, and I think that that is an awesome stack, everywhere in DFS this week.
All right, Davis, what's your thought on quarterback this week?
So I will say that when I started off the week, Carr was not on my short list of guys. I want to know what Silva thinks about Tannehill. That's what I need.
Yeah. I mean, I've considered him, I mean, there are reasons to like him. I think that
bad pass defenses.
Right. And he started to play a little bit better recently. It may be like a personal bias issue because I've liked him in a couple spots before, and he really did not come through in either of those. But I think that you can tell yourself a good story about him.
Man, it's like Bortles and Cutler the last couple of weeks, man. It's just taking a really, really bad quarterback and hoping that the defense gives them a bunch of stuff.
Tannehill is not Bortles, Cutler bad.
Well, nobody is,
right.
But he's like, I mean, he's right there. He's super terrible.
All right, let's talk about another option.
Oh, and Cam Newton is under 7,000 on DraftKings and under 8,000 on FanDuel. So honestly, you should probably just be an auto play.
Are you guys like having any Drew Brees or Tom Brady in your life in tournaments?
Oh yeah, Drew Brees is an awesome play.
I'm with you on Brees, man.
Yeah, Brady, Brees. You got to throw in also Eli against anybody playing against the Browns.
Mm-hmm.
Here's an interesting one for DraftKings. He's only 5,300, and I'm saying him now because Tuttle would if he was on the show.
Oh yeah,
Carson Palmer. 5,300 at Atlanta. Like I know that he has been last game against Minnesota was not great, but against San Fran he had 376 yards. Against Carolina he had 363. Before that against Seattle he had 342 yards. So at 5,300 against this Atlanta secondary, he could be in play. If you needed the savings, the thing is, I don't think you need the savings, but he's 5,300. Tannehill's 5,500.
Well, I think that's the leverage off David Johnson. If you want to go with him and like Fitzgerald, because he's so cheap and he's averaging 294 passing yards a game. It's not pretty, but he's getting points and putting it up.
Or just do three of them. Do Palmer, Fitz, and David Johnson. We know about.
They're all going to get volume.
We could run J.J. Nelson back.
No. And Floyd also did Floyd miss practice?
Yeah, it's not looking good for him, man.
Yeah.
Not looking good for him.
So, yeah, if that happens, I don't know.
I'm going to throw one out there, and I know you guys are going to throw up, but I think he can have a decent game this week, and he's super, super cheap. Ryan Fitzpatrick.
It's silence.
I think that one or two players on the Jets is going to have a big week, and I think it could be Forte, who is severely underpriced on FanDuel. Landry Jones can move the ball against the Patriots defense. The Patriots defense is legitimately bad.
Yeah, they are.
It's really, really bad. And I realize that Ryan Fitzpatrick has been awful this year, but I think that this is a good – I think we're to the point where we should always look at the quarterback on the other side who is going up against the Patriots.
If you did do that, the reason why I like it for like a tournament play is that on DraftKings, both Enunwa, who's been super gross lately, but he's 4,100, and Marshall is 6,100. So you're talking about three guys. Like you could do the double handcuff, and it would be a little bit over 15,000. And
double handcuff. I love it.
That's what it's been called for forever.
No, hey, I love it.
That's literally the original, like one of the original daily fantasy terms for your lineups.
Marshall to me is, I keep wanting to go back to this well. Should like Davis tell me, is he done? I remember us discussing in 2014 that he might be done. Yeah, and he obviously wasn't done. But, are we worried that he's done now?
Not having Decker there is big. I think it's bigger than anyone wanted to say.
It's huge. It's huge.
Decker commands a lot more defensive attention than anyone would because the argument was always that playing with Marshall and playing with Demaryius Thomas is what made Decker so open. And I just think we have a lot of evidence that is not the case.
Before the bye week, he is coming off a bye week. So that might help this offense.
He's getting himself right.
That might help. But before that, 4 for 15 yards. Before that, against Miami, 6 for 45. And against Cleveland, in a really good spot, had 4 for 68 on 9 targets. So, we just need to see more volume. We need to see.
It's not comfortable, for sure.
Yeah, he had that 3-week stretch where he had 10, 12, and 15 targets. So that's what we need to see in this week. All right, so let's move on to the running back spots. We know David Johnson's the top overall play. Just jam him in.
Jam him in.
We've talked about Ajayi. We've talked about Thomas Rawls also being a great play. Is Rawls going to be 100% healthy? Like, do you think he can get 20 touches at least, Silva, this week?
I would expect so. I mean, they gave him 17 last week. He's gotten consistent targets each game. In all of his appearances, I'm looking right now, he is not on the injury report. So that's nice. I mean, he is in a spot where he should get a lot of volume. I think he's a solid play. I mean, I don't have a lot of trust right now still in the Seahawks running game, like as an entity, but they should be able to score points against the Bucs defense.
All right. Let's talk about Jeremy Hill and Sammy. He's 3,900. You've got no Gio Bernard. You got no AJ Green. Like, I mean, how much do you need out of him at 3,900?
I'm not gonna need any Jeremy Hill in my life, man. I mean,
his floor is like Davis. What do you?
His floor is what McKinnon did on Thanksgiving.
Okay,
his
so
floor is 3.8 points. I mean, the guy doesn't catch the ball. We're assuming that he's gonna get a larger workload because all of a sudden Gio's out, but you have no idea if Rex Burkhead just comes in and steps in for Gio. Furthermore, Baltimore's number one in DVOA against the running backs. And, I mean, they're like 7-point favorites. So he could easily just get game scripted out of this thing. It's a good price, but I'm not on Hill at all.
Rex Burkhead, when I saw him play at Nebraska, was like first.
He's good.
Yeah, it was like the first time I thought that.
Rex Burkhead's a Davis guy.
It's the first time I thought, like, I missed my calling. Like, if Rex Burkhead could have done that, I mean, I'm 5'11" and I'm jacked. I could.
You're looking thinner with that keto diet.
He is looking good,
dude. I didn't touch any sweets.
David just eats cream cheese, fella.
No sweets. 3 Thanksgiving meals, no sweets, no carbs, no stuffing. It was like the test for me. Like last night, heating up leftovers and seeing like the pies everywhere.
Silva, what's your take on the keto diet?
I don't know exactly what it is.
Do you like butter and bacon?
Oh yeah,
you would love this diet. All right, moving on. Silva, your take on Jeremy Hill?
Yeah, so I got a special place in my heart for Jeremy Hill, and I mean I think that he's got a floor of like 16 touches in this game, and he could get up near 30. I think the game script is not going to get out of control for the Bengals. So, I mean, he's a guy that I've looked at. I wish that the matchup was like mediocre.
It's literally the worst.
It's literally the stone worst. I mean, no one has given the Cowboys running game as many problems as the Ravens run defense, so it's, I mean, I think he's a guy to look at. Ultimately, I'm not going to have too much of him, I think.
The thing is, if you do like Ajayi or a guy we haven't talked about, Melvin Gordon, who just seems like he's always
and I actually think Melvin is probably the one I want to play on DraftKings.
Yeah, I made this prop bet with those Fantasy Lab guys who made fun of Silva. But I told him I'll take Melvin Gordon over Ajayi this week.
I'll take some of that action. But I do like Melvin Gordon, and I like pairing him. I like the correlation plays with like Gordon and the Chargers defense. And then I don't mind doing like a DeMarco Murray and Titans defense as well in tournaments. I think those are really good like pivots off of the chalk.
Silva, what's your take on Gordon?
In play every week. I think he's got 27 or more touches in like 5 straight games. Leads the NFL in red zone carries inside the 10 and carries inside the 5. So on a weekly basis, I mean, there's not a running back that's a better bet for a touchdown than Melvin Gordon.
All right, let's play a game called 2v2 because this is what's interesting about DraftKings, at least, is that you can either go expensive at wide receiver or you go expensive at flex spots. Or yeah, exactly. So here's the 2v2. Jay Ajayi and Tyler Boyd versus Cooper and Jeremy Hill. Which side are you on, Davis?
Man, I like the first side. I think Sammy's right. I don't want Jeremy Hill in my life. It's really not a good spot for him. And if Rex Burkhead plays 70% of the passing down snaps, like you're drawing dead to a 1-yard touchdown.
Sammy, you taking the Jai Tyler Boyd side?
All day and twice on Thanksgiving.
Evan?
Yeah, Ajayi Boyd, especially on DK, right? We're talking about DK. I mean, I think Boyd can be a real factor on DK.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right, so I'll be the only one on Jeremy Hill and Aber Jamari just because of hashtag brand. I think it's a tough 2v2 though. If you think about it,
the touchdown upside is more with the second one, almost for certain.
Right. And Cooper could just absolutely slaughter.
Yeah.
So say what you must, but I would go with that side as well. All right, let's move on to some other running back plays. Davis, we talked about Rashad Jennings. Hindsight's 2020. We should have just jammed him in all last week when we saw him get the week before all the carries to ice the game. Now he's got.
No, I don't think you can say that because the running game for the Giants has been so piss poor.
But that's what I'm saying. The week before, Jennings was the guy that iced the game. Like he got multiple first downs and played. It wasn't anybody else. They used exclusively him. And again, last week,
I'm saying that in general, most weeks that's not been an incredibly valuable role.
Okay, but he was super cheap, is what I'm saying. He's now a little bit more expensive, but you like him against Cleveland.
I do. I mean, I think you have to. You have to like anyone who's playing against Cleveland. Like that's why you're on him.
Silva?
Rashad Jennings?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's solid. You know, I think it's his usage is kind of playing out just like last year where they, you know, for whatever reason, they try to use like a bunch of different running backs. And then at the end of the year, they kind of realize that, well, if we just give the ball to this one guy who's decent, you know, we can actually have a functional running game. And so I would expect Rashad Jennings to continue to be a volume workhorse. He's in a great matchup. The Browns allow the second most rushing attempts per game to their opponents. So, yeah, I mean, lots of reasons to like Rashad Jennings, other than he's not sexy, you know.
Yeah, also not sexy. I'll ask you about him, Sammy. Chris Ivory.
I mean, at this point, I don't want anybody on Jacksonville. No, the guy I'm going on that nobody's going to own because they're all pissed off about last week. I'm going back to the Todd Gurley will.
Nice.
I don't understand why you wouldn't want to. Seems good.
He had 10 points in the first quarter last week, Davis. Yep. It almost, you know.
It's almost. Now it is almost. Like Jeff Fisher is his coach, Jared Goff is his quarterback, and Kenny Britt is his team's number one wide receiver. I'm just saying almost. It's not quite that dramatic, but it is close.
We're not going to let logic into this conversation. I hate that you've started infusing logic into your takes this year.
Isn't it the worst? Like, I can't just be made fun of constantly anymore.
It's really bad.
Yeah.
All right. Any other running back takes from anybody? Doug Martin, Spencer Ware, any GPP love out there that people love?
LaShawn McCoy.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, no, he had surgery at the beginning of the week, and everyone's going to be like, no thanks on LaShawn McCoy. But the reality is he's facing Jacksonville. They're big favorites. They're at home. I think he's like number one in Pro Football Focus's elusive ratings. He's breaking stuff off. They use him a ton, and they run the ball a ton. I really like him there, and I think he'll be underowned.
Anybody on DeMarco?
Yeah.
Yeah, he seems fine. I put him on like our cheat sheets and stuff this week, but I'm not planning on having a ton of exposure to him.
I mean, this definitely seems like a week the Titans can do whatever they want.
It's kind of been every week for them.
Exotic
smash. What's it like? Hey, what's it like to root for the best team in the NFL? No one in here can know other than me. Dallas is going to beat the Patriots by like 20 in the Super Bowl. It's going to be amazing. I can't wait.
All right.
How good is Dak? How good is Dak?
He's He's pretty good. This has to be the most excited I think Davis has been for the Cowboys since he was born.
Well, see, because when you start to let the Cowboys excite you, what they do is they just stab you repeatedly.
Yeah, but that's been with Tony Romo at the helm. Like, this is a whole new era for you.
But then I can't even really be happy though, because this is coming at the expense of Romo. Like, it's still just brutal.
All right, wide receiver. Let's talk about the chalk wide receivers. We've got Cooper. You've got either Boyd or Parker if you wanted to play, especially on DK. Edelman
I will say, I think
another play with Baldwin. It seems like the three for me are Baldwin, Cooper, Edelman. Like, those are like the three chalky guys.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Silva, what's your take on kind of the chalk guys in good spots this week?
Are people going to ignore Brandon Cooks again?
Mistake.
Bring the fire.
Because this dude averages 100 yards a game at home with a 13-yard game mixed in where he got shut down by Desmond Trufant. He scored 14 of his 19 career touchdowns at home. I think he's an awesome play. And anytime that Brandon Cooks is at home, we need to be discussing him.
Here's the stat that I tweeted out, Silva. In his career, A.J. Green, per 16 games, has averaged 89 catches, 1,327 yards, and 9 touchdowns. Brandon Cooks at home in his career per 16 games is 88 catches, 1,308 yards, 11 receiving touchdowns. Like, I mean, that's just fire, and you're getting him like under $7,000 on DraftKings.
Total fire.
I was doing this, but it should be the kitchen cooks like this. Just this. No, not even eating. Just this. Silva, you can eat.
I also think that Michael Thomas is in play. I think he's underpriced on FanDuel for a guy who's got as strong touchdown probability as any. The strongest touchdown probability week to week on the Saints. And the Saints are at home. So I don't know. I mean, I would want to play Cooks in cash if I could. We'll see. We'll see how things work out.
All right, let's talk about a guy that could save you a lot of money. I'm not talking about Geico. I'm talking about a certain wide receiver. His quarterback said this: "I've just been impressed with him since the day he came in, and his personality is infectious. He's very smart. I can't say enough good things about him and what he's accomplished, getting his opportunity and taking advantage of it." Do you know who that was?
Personality? Tyler Boyd?
Tom Brady on Malcolm Mitchell.
Malcolm Mitchell. Dang it. Yeah.
Is Hogan out?
He's still limited. He might play. Gronk's still going to be out. That's the question, though. Mitchell is literally stone cold minimum on DK.
I was going to play Mitchell in cash if Hogan didn't play.
Well, more to that point of the show then.
Instead of Tuttle's terrible takes, it's going to be like Sammy's saucy takes, or what?
I've actually got a pretty terrible take. Now, this is for one lineup in 250 lineups, so keep that in mind.
Except Dan always says that, and then he just ends up all in.
Yeah, it's like it's his way of hedging the tout. It really is. Like, this is a 0.4% play. Like, if you've got 250 lineups, this is a 0.4%.
Well, that's the CSU Ram. Is like, I'm going to have about 13% exposure in 1 p.m. only cash to Malcolm Mitchell. Yeah. That's the CSU Ram.
I didn't realize that Malcolm Mitchell was stone minimum on FanDuel.
He's a thing.
Yeah. No, I mean, and the way that you attack, the Jets over the course of the season is with speed receivers, and he's their best speed receiver. He runs 4.45. He's got the best speed in that receiver core.
So you got plenty of options. We already talked about Devontae Parker. I'm just going to say it just because he's a brand guy. He's 4,200. I know New York, the Giants secondary has been decent, but I'm in love with the Coco, and he's 4,200, and he's got Josh McCown as his QB.
I watch the Swolecast every week, and somebody says Corey Coleman every week, and he does nothing every week.
He does nothing. Never does anything.
Oh, really? Tell that to week 2, Corey Coleman. Or was it week 3? I forget. Oh, it was week 3.
That was preseason week 3.
No, that was week 2, and he had 5 whole catches for 104 yards and 2 tutties.
I've played Corey Coleman 1 week in cash this year, and it was not the week he did that.
You played him against Dallas. You played him against Dallas. Was not. You're like, somehow I ended up on Corey Coleman, and even I was like, oh, honey.
It was a thing.
All right, let's.
You had a really good prop.
Yeah, really. That's what did it. It's his prop.
Somebody in Slack posted that he had a prop of like 56.5 yards, and Davis is like,
player props have ruined so many lineups.
Player props have messed me up a good number of times.
Okay, anybody else on any other wide receivers? We got Chicago and Rashard Matthews on FanDuel, who's 6,200, and all he's done is mash lately.
The Bears have really limited boundary wide receivers, though. They've done like amazingly well against wide receiver ones.
Silva, what's Atlanta going to do? Are they going to get Trufant over on Fitzgerald, or are they going to keep him on the outside?
One of their beat writers expressed concern on Wednesday that Trufant might not play. And then their coach, Dan Quinn, said today that Trufant is a game-time decision. Apparently he has a pectoral/shoulder injury. So trying to tangle with physical Larry Fitzgerald, I mean, that may be tough. That's a matchup that I would bet on Fitz over him, even if he plays, and he may not play. I would expect Trufant to be in the slot covering Larry Fitzgerald if he's active, but I don't know that's a bad matchup.
Crabtree questionable, didn't play all the snaps last week. He's probably going to try to be out there, but let's say he's out, Silva. Does this increase or decrease average Amari's value?
I mean, I think it definitely helps.
Okay.
I think that then we can start to look at, maybe Seth Roberts. Seth Roberts leads the friggin' Raiders in red zone targets on the year. Every time that they're down there, Derek Carr's looking at them. And then maybe Andre Holmes or Johnny Holton. But those guys are obviously just long shot dart throws. But, I think Seth Roberts is a guy to keep in mind if Crabtree is out. I think that Crabtree will probably play, though.
Yeah, all right.
And I think he'll struggle probably against James Bradbury to some extent. And it's a great spot for Amari.
Okay, let's talk about tight ends now. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's make a FanDuel lineup, and then we'll talk about tight ends.
Okay.
What am I doing here?
FanDuel this week is, I think for me, like a good degree easier than DraftKings. I think the decisions are a little bit less intensive.
All right, so let's start with you, Davis.
Well, I said earlier that I think you should probably just play Cam Newton when he is this cheap, so I'm gonna stick to that.
I wanted a Russell Wilson lineup. Fine,
you threw it to me first, though.
I know. I didn't know you would go quarterback. I thought you would get somebody else in there.
Sorry, bud.
All right, Cam Newton's 300 more than Russ. If you do want to go Russ,
did you guys play Cam in Thursday Cash last week?
I did, yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad.
Their offense has major issues right now. I don't know that Cam crushes this, but I don't have any Cam, so let's do a lineup with him.
Okay, so let's go Russell Wilson then.
Fine, David. Fine.
Thank you.
Good pick, Davis.
Sammy.
JJ.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, we got to have some Ajayi love in here, man. We can't make two teams without him.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Silva?
Jimmy Graham. No. Martellus.
Oh, okay. So do explain this one.
Oh, I remember the last time that Silva liked Martellus.
Yeah, 2 tutties.
3, son.
3 tutties.
Don't sell him short.
Yeah, I think that it's a great spot to go back to him in GPPs. people that I've talked to are like, no, I'm done with him. He only got one catch for 14 yards last week. Jets have been bad against tight ends. The reporter who reported that Rob Gronkowski was not going to play, I know that reporter is real tight with Rosenhaus, who reps Gronk, so I would be very surprised if that report was wrong. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great week to go back to him in GPPs because his ownership will be lowered by recency bias, and he's one of very few tight ends on the board that can have a truly monster game. He's got 3 100-yard games so far this year, and just that's not really in a lot of tight ends' range of outcomes.
I will pair Russ with Baldwin Davis.
Do I get to make a pick, or did you just pick for me? And then
I don't think I had a pick. We went Russell Wilson.
Yeah, you made.
You did.
You made me change my pick, David.
No, I didn't. I suggested strongly you did.
Yeah, we're not taking Doug Baldwin because it's my pick.
Oh.
And we are going to take Tyrell, 6,500 at Houston.
Ugh.
Classic case of team goes.
Like, we didn't even talk about Tyrell. We spent 30 minutes on receivers.
David, because this is a classic case of a team goes on the bye week. Everyone forgets about a guy who was mashing, and he's going to come back and mash more.
Those Houston cover guys are good as hell. Like, they're super good. I don't know. I don't know about this, Davis.
I will 100% take Tyrell at top 7% in tournaments. This is how you win money, Sammy.
Hey, Sammy, Davis is telling you, I don't see a pen and paper in your hands. You need to take notes, bud. There you go. Thank you. You're at a hotel, so yeah, there should be some nice Hamilton Inn stationery. He just wrote down fish on his hotel stationery. Oh, all right. So he goes Tyrell Williams. I'll go back to Doug Baldwin because I don't want naked Russ. That means we've got a wide receiver and a running back spot left. Sammy, you're up.
Okay. Let's see. Are we going to be able to fit DJ in here? I want to fit DJ in
I don't think we will be.
It's so bad.
Yeah, we can.
We can always fit.
Let's just make it happen, dude. We can't make 2 lineups and have neither of them have David Johnson.
Okay, we can do it. We just have to go.
We can't be known as the show that didn't tout David Johnson.
Yeah, no. Yeah, let's take David Johnson. All right, so let's just say we go a mid-tier defense. I don't know. I guess Titans against.
Yeah, I want Titans. Barkley has never thrown a touchdown pass, dude. His career adjusted yards per attempt is 1.7 yards.
So Silva, we have anywhere between 6,500 and 6,800 for a receiver. Evan.
All right.
Or you can go Julian Edelman at 6,400, Devontae Parker at 6,300, Rashard Matthews at 6,200.
Michael Thomas.
Michael Thomas is available. He's the guy?
Yeah, Michael Thomas.
Over
Edelman? We don't have any cooks, huh?
That feels. We should get rid of Tyrell, man.
We should really get rid of Tyrell.
God, you guys, I try and teach some game theory to you one time, and it just it doesn't
game
work.
Theory. We got the Davis Mattek game theory play. All right, so if we did that, you could get nice illustration, Sammy. If we did that, then you could go at wide receiver. I don't know. You can go Sammy Watkins at 5,700, but he's not going to get much run, is he, Evan? He's not going to get Sammy Watkins.
No.
So then you're left with Cam Meredith, or you could go Rashard Matthews and just really lower your defense and go a 4,300 defense. So Yeah, then it gets kind of gross. You got Bengals against Baltimore, though. You want to play them? Or New Orleans at home against the Rams?
Yeah, I like that New Orleans play.
Yeah. Or
I mean, the Rams just can't score. They just can't do it.
Or Cardinals against Atlanta?
No, hard pass.
Let's go Saints. And then Mensah kicker. There's quite a bit of them. Suckup is definitely one of the top guys. Robbie Gould against Cleveland. He's a brand play. And then, Andrew Franks is 100 more than we need. So let's go Suckup. So, boom, there you go. All right, our lineup. Again, this is the non-Davis lineup. If you want to use Davis's, just, substitute whoever.
Just use that game theory.
Yeah, just use the game theory.
I can't believe you guys all think Tyrell is not a good tournament play.
The lineup right now, Russell Wilson, Jay Ajayi, David Johnson, Baldwin, Brandon Cooks, Richard Matthews, Martellus Bennett, Ryan Suckup, and Saint Steve.
Dude, he's almost always a great tournament play. Like, I love Tyrell in general. Houston's outside corners are super good.
Don't scare the gazelle, fella.
Shout out to Smith. He loves it. He loves it so much. Like,
what makes me mad is that I used to call Ladarius Green that, and then Ladarius Green died. So he
had 2 long catches last night.
He did.
He incarnated on the Steelers.
He looked good. All right. Tight end really quick. You've got Barnidge, who you guys like.
Barnkowski.
This is interesting because there are a few other options that I like as well. We talked about Bennett. Jimmy Graham, obviously in a pretty good spot. You've got Delaney Walker, who's not that pricey, but probably pricier. But he should be just always in the conversation, especially when they should dominate this game. A guy I want to talk about, though, is Tyler Eifert, because these targets from Gio and AJ Green have to go somewhere. And you saw that game against Washington when they were trying to come back at the end. They actually are running some screens for Eifert.
Oh, Eifert's like the best tournament play. Like, because he's the highest projected guy.
My question is, could he be more than just a tournament play? My question is, could he be a cash game play if you weren't – like, what's the real difference between him and Barnkowski?
Yeah, big difference.
Like a lot of money.
Like Eifert's good and Barnkowski's not.
Right.
Yeah,
so that's what I'm saying. Like, I would almost take the floor of Eifert. I know.
Is Barnkowski not good? No,
Barnkowski's fine. I mean, I love 30.
He isn't good in fantasy.
Like Eifert's big and good. I feel like Barnidge is just a guy, kind of.
Barnidge is a 30-year-old tight end that's had one good season, but it was with the quarterback that he's got now.
Right.
My question is, like, I know that a lot of the projection sites don't have Eifert as like a top value, but this just seems like a case where there's going to be a lot of targets distributed. And he, in that Washington game when they needed to come back, he was the guy that the Red Rifle looked at. So I think that he's like a lock for 4 or 5 catches. I don't know if there's going to be touchdowns or not, but I feel like he's the safe guy here. What are some other thoughts about tight end? Davis, we'll start with you.
I mean, I do like the high price guys. Like, I think if this was if we were playing on draft, Eifert would be the tight end that I would take. But he's 4,800 on FanDuel. Like, he's near minimum. In his career in 12 games that Josh McCown has played in, he averages 14 fantasy points a game. In 42 games without Josh McCown, he averages 4 fantasy points per game. There are 2 ways you can look at that sample. One, he ran hot for 12 games and McCown happened to find him, and there's 42 games of him being terrible. Or 2, McCown just knows how to use this fella. And for 4,800 on FanDuel, I'm going to choose to believe that he knows how to use the guy.
I'm going to give a hot take that none of you are going to agree with, and that's okay because that's part of the Soccer Day brand. I like the tight end on the other side in this game better. At 4,600, Will Tye on FanDuel against Cleveland. Sammy, I want to know, do you have any CJ Fedorowicz love?
I do. I like CJF, man. I mean, Osweiler, all he does is check the ball down. So, I mean, he's going to get targets. I also like the guy on the other side of that game, Antonio Gates. He's got 9+ targets in 4 straight games. He's scored in 3 straight. He's still only 4,200 on DraftKings. So, I feel like that's a really good value. And I'm on you with the Will Tye take. Wrote him up this week.
Ooh, against Oakland, CJ Fedorowicz last week, 10 targets, 6 catches for 82 yards. He definitely seems like the safety valve. And other than that Jacksonville game, he has got a minimum of 5 catches ever since Indy. So I like CJ Fedorowicz, especially on DK, where his price is pretty low. Silva, any other hot takes you want to give besides Barnage?
No, I mean, I think you guys nailed all the good plays. One guy, if you want a minimum salary tight end, Mercedes Lewis is out for the year, and Julius Thomas is not playing this week. Ben Koyak, should have a chance to hit value against the Bills, and maybe do. I mean, he's had a couple of productive games in a very limited role so far this year, and he should be a full-time player, and he's minimum salary.
Ben Koyak, yeah, that is
such elite level touting.
That's the Tuttle. That's a terrible Tuttle take. That does not make my Koyak move at all.
Hey. Philip Dorsett caught a 50-yard pass last week, man.
Silva, was it when he was running down the sideline? It looked like he was going to break that off. I mean, be honest. Was it out?
I was excited.
All right, let's end this. I did get a question from our Platinum chat from Amitch1. Says he wants answers to 2 questions. Under the radar game stack, or that's really the onslaught of the week. He wants the
Giants Browns if you wanted it 2%.
You want what?
Giants Browns if you want a game at like 2%.
Okay, so we're picking one team though to onslaught. Would you go Giants? That'd be a good one. I would go. I think it's been clear. I would go Seahawks, but they're not really under the radar.
I would go Dolphins.
Dolphins also not under the radar. Sammy,
Saints.
You guys, David, you personally spent all show saying every Dolphins player other than Parker was a bad play. So they seem
no.
They seem kind of off your radar, fella.
I said that Jarvis
Landry for 5,900. Who can pay that?
But it is on brand for him to take credit for somebody else's ideas. So
I said Devontae Parker was the guy I would rather have than Landry. I'm on record saying that Landry would be the GPP play. That was my point, is that Landry is the contrarian play because Devontae Parker is going to be the chalk.
Nothing says GPP like 4 yards a target.
All right. That's Davis Mattek. You can catch his automatic absolutes on fantasyinsiders.com and all of his terrible discussion in the Platinum chat there in Fantasy Insiders. Sammy Reed filling in for Mr. Tuttle 05. Sammy, appreciate you coming on. That was nice. It was nice. And then Evan, I'm glad. I feel like this was a good show. I feel like we had a good show, and hopefully no one can really talk bad about us in the future.
Agreed. I mean, I just got to get good results, and there will be no issues.
It's all you need. It's all you need, fella. We just need Spencer Ware to flop into the end zone, and it's all good.
All right. On behalf of Davis, Evan, and Sammy, I'm David. We'll see you next week on the Week 13 Swolecast. Everybody have a good week. We'll see you later.